What tactics do you recommend for a deployment leader who's not at the C level to establish ownership at the executive level?
I'd say overwhelmingly the most critical thing is to communicate, and communicate, both formally and informally, why we're doing this, and how people must, not optionally, but must get involved. First and foremost, that's a very tactical suggestion. Another suggestion is that the deployment leader has to be entrusted to provide information to the senior decision makers, the vice presidents or above, on what's working and what's not working. And he has to do that frequently and in a very unbiased manner. Third, I believe, or she has to be very vigilant to the occurrence of any critical events. When I was in the Air Force and Electronic Systems Center in Boston, Massachusetts decided to invest in process excellence, there occurred some events that we called critical events, that if the executive was not made aware of the events and did not personally intercede in resolving those events, the whole credibility of the effort of the investment in process excellence would be in jeopardy. So I think it's important, just to kind of summarize, you have to communicate the need, the vision, and the plan downward. You have to provide feedback to the executive on what's working and what's not in a very unbiased manner. You have to intercede on events, particularly critical events, that if the executive is not aware of and is not involved with, will come back and hurt the effort, undoubtedly. And also, I think that the deployment leader and executive really has to show up at events that are crucial. We all too often know of stories where the decision maker wanted to invest in process excellence but was too busy to stop in on a training event, or decisions on what projects would be first and what projects would be delayed, or a project report out. And these kinds of efforts are very important for the executive and for the deployment leader, senior deployment leader, to be involved in. You just can't, as I said, rent process excellence by writing out a check. You have to get out of your office and listen and hear what's working. And Mike, if I may just also say that we've seen many deployment leaders that are reluctant to tell their boss what's not working relative to process excellence, because they viewed that as being a failure, either of themselves and or the organization. And that's a wrong thing to do. The leader has to know what's working and act on that, and what's working and act accordingly, especially what's not working, and also act accordingly, and not be hesitant to tell bad news when, in an unbiased and respectful way, that information has to be reported on.